I was sitting with Fabian at the Civil Affairs Bureau to get our marriage certificate when he was called away by a phone call, leaving behind only one sentence. "We can get the certificate another day. Something urgent came up," and then hurried away. He left me alone in the marriage registration office, surrounded by pairs of soon-to-be newlyweds, just because his childhood sweetheart had fallen down the steps and sprained her ankle. A while later, he sent me a message. "Melly's problem is a bit serious. I have to stay with her. Let's change the time of tomorrow's wedding." I didn't even know how many times this was already, Fabian abandoning me for Melisande, but I no longer got jealous. Threw a tantrum, and then compromised as before. The staff looked at me sympathetically and asked, "Miss, do you still want to proceed?" I pulled out my phone and sent a message to the man who owed me a promise. "We're going through with it." Chapter 1. I sat on a waiting chair in the hall of the Civil Affairs Bureau, staring at the reply on my phone. "Wait for me. I'll be there in 20 minutes. While I was still in a daze, my mom called. "Fiona, you and Fabian already got the certificate, right? Come to the hotel. Our two families will have a meal together." Hearing my mother's words, I was still calm as I replied, "Mom, we didn't get the certificate." Melisande twisted her ankle. Fabian went to the hospital to accompany her. I wasn't very sad, because it had happened too many times. I was used to it. The moment my mom heard that, she exploded in anger. She had been a powerful figure in the business world for years, and it had been a long time since she'd lost her temper like this. "Change the time?" He says change and we change? All the guests are people of status, family friends for generations. So many people gathered. What? To play house with him? If this gets out, doesn't he think about you? She suddenly stopped mid-sentence. It seemed she remembered all my persistence and compromises over the years. With a sigh, she asked, "Fiona, what do you think?" "Mom respects your opinion." My calm expression finally broke down when I heard her words. I hung up the phone. Over these years, I had done many foolish things for Fabian, and compromised on many of my principles. He and I had known, understood, and fallen in love since college, living a wonderful campus life together. After graduation, since both our families were local, we started discussing engagement. Everything went so smoothly that I once believed I was the happiest person in the world until Melisande appeared. Chapter 2. After our engagement, one day we had planned to watch a movie, but as soon as we met, he was called away by a phone call. From then on, being called away by a phone call became the norm. He explained to me that his childhood friend had returned to the country, and he needed to pick her up. Her family had gone bankrupt. Her parents had died in a car accident, leaving her as an orphan. She was pitiful. Her parents had treated him well when they were alive. Her name was Melisande. From that day on, Fabian would be called away from time to time, and the moments we spent together became fewer and fewer. He liked Legos, so I spent a lot of money to buy him a limited edition Lego set, worked hard for half a month to put it together, and presented it to him eagerly. Seeing his happy face made me feel satisfied. But what he liked, Melisande also liked. She smiled sweetly and asked him for it. Though reluctant, he still gave it to her. When I found out, I was very sad and even cried in secret. The next time we met, he explained, "She's a friend. It would be rude to refuse. Don't overthink it. I have no other feelings for her. I'll make another one for you another day." And just like that, I was coaxed. He was a very good person, considerate and meticulous with everyone, polite and proper. About half a year after our engagement, we went hiking with friends, and Melisande was there among them. It wasn't the first time I had seen her, but it was the first time I clearly realized her intentions. Halfway up the mountain, when Fabian and I fell slightly behind, Melisande suddenly bumped into me seemingly unintentionally. She and I both tumbled down the steps, rolling down the mountainside. My arm hurt so badly I couldn't lift it. I turned my head, full of confusion and anger, to look at Melisande, but she leaned close and whispered in my ear, "Sister Fiona, if I say it was you who bumped into me, do you think Brother Fabian will believe you? Will he help you first, or me?" When Fabian and several friends heard the commotion and rushed over, I saw Melisande with tears in her eyes, sobbing softly. Sister Fiona. Maybe I was too tired from climbing. I didn't stand firmly and accidentally bumped into you. After speaking, she even glanced timidly at me. I wanted to explain, but when I looked up at Fabian, I suddenly froze. He didn't believe me, holding Melisande in his arms. He looked down at me from above and said, "Fiona, don't be unreasonable." So that was it. Just because I had argued with him twice before over Melisande. Now, whenever something happened, it was always my fault. Unreasonable? I never thought such a cliché accusation would be used against me. That day, I watched as he carried Melisande farther and farther away. Our friends, caught in the awkwardness, tried to comfort me with scattered words. "Fiona, we believe you wouldn't do something like that. Yeah, don't be upset." Fabian just saw that Mellie's injury was worse. Her hand was bleeding badly. I shook my head. "You all continue climbing. I'll head down first." Originally, a friend wanted to go down with me, but I refused. There was no need to ruin their mood any further. No one saw that my arm was dislocated, covered in blood and flesh. Enduring the pain, I forced myself down the mountain. While waiting for the ambulance, my strength failed me, and I gradually fainted. The moment before I closed my eyes, I heard a slightly panicked voice. "Fiona! Fiona!" I lifted my head, and the voice from memory overlapped with the voice by my ear now. Dazed, I looked at the man approaching, Logan Chi, the head of the Chi group. His parents had died young, yet at such a young age he not only preserved his family's business, but also led the Chi group to a new level, standing at the pinnacle of our wealthy circle. I first met him by accident after graduating from high school, when I went to my grandmother's house. There, I happened to save him once and stayed to help while he recovered. When he left, he gave me his contact information and promised that, within his power, he would grant me one request unconditionally. After that, our two families occasionally kept in touch, and we often met, gradually becoming familiar. When did we become estranged? It seemed to have started after I confessed to my family about being with Fabian Song. It had been 2 or 3 years since, and I hadn't seen him even once. When I sent him a message, I was actually nervous. After all, he was unpredictable, distant and lofty, but looking around our entire circle, he was the only one I could think of. The Song family had considerable influence, and besides him, no one else dared to marry me at this time. I didn't know if he had changed his contact information. I didn't know if he still remembered that promise. So now, looking at the cold, handsome man before me, dressed in a custom suit as if he had rushed straight from a business meeting, my eyes reddened, vision blurring with tears. I seemed to hear Logan sigh as he reached out to gently wipe the tear off my eyelashes. "Why are you crying? Didn't you ask me to come marry you? Do you regret it now?" I shook my head and pulled him toward the registration office. Amid the staff's astonishment, we handed in our documents, and within 10 minutes, everything was done. So marriage registration was this quick. Yet for Fabian, even 10 minutes was too much to wait with me. Or rather, he couldn't bear to make his childhood sweetheart wait. Chapter 3. Standing at the doorway of my house, I looked at the little red marriage certificate in my hand. I took a deep breath. Just after we walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Logan hurried away, as if he had to attend an important government bidding meeting he couldn't miss. Rushing off immediately, before leaving, he looked at me with deep eyes. "Don't worry, the wedding tomorrow will go on as planned." I nodded. When I had texted him earlier, I had explained everything from beginning to end. I was about to call the driver when a call came in. It was Fabian, I answered, and his voice was as gentle as ever. "Fiona, I'm sorry. I thought he was apologizing for abandoning me at the Civil Affairs Bureau and for canceling our wedding." Just as I was about to respond, Melisand's delicate, tearful voice chimed in. "Sister Fiona, I'm sorry. I accidentally ruined your wedding dress. I'm really sorry." Sister Fiona, sob. Immediately after, Fabian's soothing voice followed. "It's okay. Don't cry. Fiona isn't the kind of person to hold a grudge." Then he spoke to me again. "Fiona, since tomorrow's wedding is cancelled anyway, another day I'll go with you to choose an even better wedding dress." I no longer wanted to speak. I was exhausted, weary. I didn't ask why the two of them weren't at the hospital, but instead at the new house where my wedding dress was kept. I didn't ask whether Fabian had forgotten that the dress was one we designed together back in college, holding such special meaning. I didn't ask anything anymore. It didn't matter. I was already married, wasn't I? The days with Fabian, I won't deny, were happy. In college, even blissful. I won't deny Fabian's sincerity either. Eyes don't lie. But that sincerity was not mine alone. Since Melisande appeared, I was no longer his one true preference. I still remember one gathering, because I couldn't hold my liquor well. After a few drinks I felt dizzy and went to the restroom. When I came back, I happened to hear those drunken words. Fabian, I'll marry no one else in this life but you. As soon as she said it, the room fell silent for a moment. Everyone knew Fabian was already engaged. Some friends quickly joked to change the subject, but I had been standing at the doorway, holding my breath, waiting for Fabian's answer. What I got was his gentle reminder. I'll go get a bowl of hangover soup. Melly will have a headache later. Take care of her. I can't quite describe how I felt at that moment. Disappointment? Something else? It didn't matter anymore. I had been pampered and spoiled since childhood, yet the greatest sorrows and grievances of my life all came from Fabian. After so much compromise and yielding, I realize now, it was madness. Affection not given to me alone. Not a love where I was the only favorite. I don't want it anymore. It's fine, since it's ruined. Just throw it away. Hearing the calmness in my voice, without anger or emotion, Fabian actually froze. No jealousy, no blame. No quarrel as he had imagined. He should have felt relieved. But instead, a wave of panic welled up in his heart. Is there anything else? I didn't want to continue such meaningless conversations and asked. Fabian opened his mouth but finally fell silent. No, nothing else. Just as I was about to hang up, Melisand's voice drifted faintly through the line. Fabian, look, can I help you pack these clothes? Expressionless. I hung up. Fabian quickly glanced at his phone when he heard the call end. Unease in his heart. Looking up, his eyes darkened as he stared at Melisande. I don't need you to pack my clothes. I'll take them to her myself. Once she's settled, I'll come back. Melisande's eyes instantly welled with tears. Fabian, you're all I have. If you abandon me too, who will care for me? Fabian's gaze softened. I won't abandon you. But Melly, you have to learn independence. I'll send these over, but I'm getting married too. If it weren't for your urgent injury, tomorrow I would already be bringing your sister-in-law home as my wife. A trace of sadness flashed in Melisande's eyes before hardening into determination. Chapter 4. Seeing the Maybach stop in front of me, I moved aside in confusion. The car halted. Out stepped a man in his 40s, who walked toward me. With a kind smile, he asked, Miss Fiona? I nodded. And you are? It turned out he was the driver Logan had sent to take me home. I couldn't help but smile. Maybe this marriage wasn't such a bad one after all. When I got home, I was greeted by my mother's scolding, full of frustration. As she got more and more worked up, I quickly pulled out the still warm little red certificate. It immediately suppressed her anger. My dad, sitting by the piano, gave me a thumbs up. I lifted my chin proudly. My mom muttered, Didn't you say that boy from the Song family? My mom's eyes widened. She looked at the marriage certificate, then at me, then at my dad. This. Seeing my usually decisive mother in such shock, my dad walked over. When he clearly saw the names and photo on the certificate, he wore the same expression as my mom. Ah. I calmly walked over to the sofa, sat down, and asked the maid to bring me a glass of lemon water. My mom and dad sat beside me and carefully asked, Sweetheart, what's going on? I nodded. Mom, Dad, I'm not marrying Fabian Song anymore. From now on, I wouldn't chase after him, get jealous, or throw tantrums. At my words, my parents froze for a moment. Then their faces showed faint delight. Sweetheart, you've thought it through? I nodded solemnly. Yes, I've already registered my marriage with Logan. My dad's face instantly lit up with joy. You should have realized this sooner. Sweetheart, Fabian, other than his looks, He's nothing, just a central air conditioner. Warm to everyone. I've long disliked him. My mom shook the marriage certificate in her hand. But sweetheart, what about tomorrow's wedding? I looked up at her. The wedding will go on as planned tomorrow. This marriage still had to be held. Our family had been in business for a century. Our reputation couldn't be ruined in my hands. After graduation, I hadn't joined the company. I had lowered myself. Chasing after him for so long, getting jealous and fighting, it was humiliating enough. After dinner, I sorted through the betrothal gifts that the Song family had sent over. Fabian had taken the wedding seriously, carefully choosing the best gifts. He had put in that much thought. But in the end, he still abandoned me for Melisande. My phone rang. When I looked, it was Fabian. Chapter 5. October nights were already a bit chilly. The night sky was full of stars, and the breeze carried the fragrance of the garden's flowers and greenery, making it quite pleasant. I opened the gate of the courtyard. At a glance, I saw the man standing under the street lamp, just like the first time we met. Handsome features, a refined and clean aura. When he saw me, it was as if his eyes suddenly lit up. So good-looking. I sighed inwardly. No wonder I had liked him for years. Fiona, have you eaten yet? I nodded. Did you come here for something? Fabian glanced at my expression. Fiona, I'm sorry about today. I broke my promise. I said faintly. It's fine. I'm used to it. After Fiona hung up the phone earlier, Fabian had been uneasy the whole afternoon. He felt as if he had lost something. So before flying to North America, he wanted to come see her. Now, looking at Fiona's calm appearance, it seemed like nothing was wrong, yet also like something was. After a moment's thought, Fabian said to me, Fiona, are you mad at me? Mad that I left you at the Civil Affairs Bureau? Mad that I postponed the wedding? See? He knew I'd be angry, yet he still did it. Why? Maybe because I was cheap, wasn't I? Every time he abandoned me for his dear Melisande, I got angry. I threw a fit. But I always forgave him, because I liked him so much, and Fabian knew I liked him. That's why the favored one always acts so recklessly. But that favor, he was always so stingy in giving it to me. Seeing my increasingly cold expression, Fabian thought I was simply mad, and instead let out a sigh of relief. A trace of secret delight crossed his eyes. As long as I was just angry, he could explain, coax me, and everything would be fine. Fabian rubbed my hair and let go before I could dodge. Fiona, Mellie's ankle injury is serious. She needs treatment from specialists in North America, and it has to be done within 48 hours. Otherwise she'll be left with after effects. So I have to accompany her there. Mockery flashed in my eyes. What? Are there no other people in this world? Are the assistants and caretakers all dead? Only you can accompany her? And our two families' wedding can just be ignored? Disapproval flickered in Fabian's eyes. Fiona, you're the only one in my heart. Don't make a fuss. I only see her as a sister. She's all alone in a foreign country. I can't feel at ease. Once I settle her, I'll come back immediately. Fiona, when I come back, I'll definitely give you an even grander wedding. I really wanted to ask him, did he know what it meant for me when he changed our wedding date for Melisande? But before I could say it, his phone rang. It was Melisande, her exclusive ringtone. Because of this, Melisande had even bragged in front of me. Fabian had heard it, but just brushed it off casually. Fiona, back in high school, she once took my phone and set it herself. She said, why don't you set one too? That way, whenever I hear it, I'll know it's you. At that time, I thought it was so early. With Fabian, Melisande could casually touch his phone. With Fabian, Melisande had already been the special one. Long before, even earlier than my own appearance, Fabian's preference was already given to Melisande. I was never the only exception. I didn't set one what was already given to someone else. I didn't want. Looking back now, it almost feels like I was the third party. A little ridiculous. After all, he was someone I had liked for so many years. When I saw him downstairs that instant, my heart still skipped a beat uncontrollably. Now, I watched him answer the call. I listened to Melisande's coquettish voice on the other end. Fabian, where did you go? The The plane is about to board. Fabian gently soothed her. Melly, be good. Sit still. Don't move, watch your ankle. I'll be right there. After coaxing her a while longer, he hung up. Only then did he remember to look at me. A bit awkward. Then he glanced at the time. I have to go. Fiona. There's no time. Looking at his slightly anxious face, I opened my mouth. Fabian. I already. Beep beep beep. The honking of the car horn cut me off. Fabian, however, seemed relieved. He stepped forward and hugged me tightly. Fiona, wait for me to come marry you. Then he quickly left. I didn't say another word. There was no later anymore. Fabian got into the car. Looking back at the girl standing alone under the street lamp, his heart suddenly clenched in pain. And then came the endless panic. It screamed at him to get out, to hold her, to tell her he wasn't going to North America. As he watched her figure grow smaller and smaller, the word "stop the car" nearly slipped from his lips. Then his phone rang. It was Melisande. Fabian fell silent. Chapter 6. The wedding was about to begin. I looked at myself in the mirror, dressed in a magnificent phoenix coronet and red wedding robe, slightly dazed. Unlike the Western-style wedding Fabian had prepared, today's wedding was a traditional Chinese one, arranged by Logan just last night. Yesterday, when I watched Fabian leave without looking back, there had been a moment of sadness in my heart. But more than that, there was a sense of release. It was always the same. I was never his firm choice. Forget it. Let it be. Just as I turned to head home, I saw a car at the corner. As it approached, it was followed by a procession of cars. Logan stepped out, leading a group of people carrying gifts in their hands. I felt a little guilty, and also a bit puzzled, not sure if he had seen Fabian, and wondering why he was here. Why are you standing outside? His deep, magnetic voice came. I thought he hadn't seen anything, so I smiled slightly. Taking a walk. What is this? When I heard Logan say he was here to deliver betrothal gifts, I froze for a moment. Then I heard my mother's voice. Logan's here. Sweetheart. Why are you just standing there stunned? Bring Logan inside. A little dazed, I led him in, sitting on the sofa, watching Logan chatting cheerfully with my parents. I felt like the world had turned surreal. Noises outside pulled me back to reality. Time was running short. As I slowly walked toward the door, I overheard the voices outside. Who in our circle doesn't know? Melisande likes Fabian. This whole mess is clearly her way of stopping him from marrying Fiona. I heard Fabian went to North America with Melisande. Just a sprained ankle. And he panicked like that. It's obvious she's the one he holds dearest. Exactly. The groom's gone. And they say the wedding is postponed? I'd say he just wants to break it off. Fiona can't compare, even after years of dating. She loses to a few coquettish words from her. Fiona used to be one of the most stunning beauties in our circle. So proud and untouchable. And now, look, she's fallen this far. Huh. Her reputation's ruined. How will she ever marry after this? I got a call from the Song family yesterday. They said today's wedding was cancelled. But right after, my family called to say the wedding was still on. I can't figure it out. Are these two families trying to make enemies? Same here. Same here. Anyway, I had a free slot this week, so I came to watch the drama. Listening to them, I actually thought they weren't wrong. Their words were accurate. The eyes of bystanders are always the clearest. As for me, Fabian would never care about any of this. He would never realize how humiliating it was, in the eyes of others in our circle, for me to have my marriage postponed because of Melisande. The time had come. As I stepped out, I happened to see those people. They hadn't realized this was the dressing room. When they saw me come out, they looked embarrassed and muttered, "Congratulations on your wedding." I smiled softly and replied, "Thank you, truly. Thank you for letting me see clearly at last that I was nothing but a clown." The guests didn't know the groom had changed. They were waiting to see how I would handle the situation. But when Logan appeared in the groom's traditional wedding robe, the entire venue was stunned. There was a moment of silence. Then the place erupted into noise again. I heard his cool, deep voice rise above it, and the commotion quieted down. From beginning to end, the ones meant to be married today are me, Logan, and Fiona. Does everyone understand? The guests all responded in unison, their congratulations filling the air. The wedding proceeded smoothly. This date, October 20th, was the one I had chosen together with Fabian. I had thought today would be our happiest day. But Fabian, today, I married someone else. Glancing at Logan beside me, I realized he, too, was an excellent husband. After the ceremony ended, I went to the back to change into my toast dress. From then on, I was busy non-stop, my feet hurt from walking. I hadn't drunk much, but still felt a little tipsy. By the end of the banquet, I was practically carried back to the room by Logan. I didn't think too much, just felt exhausted. I soaked in a comfortable bath, then collapsed onto the bed, not wanting to move. Who would have thought getting married could be so tiring? The sound of the door opening startled me. I saw Logan carrying a bathrobe as he walked into the bathroom. I instantly sat up, suddenly reminded there was another person in this room. And not just anyone, my new husband. Tonight was our wedding night. The thought alone made my face flush red. When he came out of the shower, I sneaked a glance, relieved to see he was wrapped up decently. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him coming closer and closer. My hands unconsciously clenched the bedsheet, and he was so near I could feel the warmth of his breath brushing against my burning ear. Then came a soft chuckle. I looked up sharply, only to crash into eyes full of amusement. My hands were gently pulled open by his larger, slender ones. Don't grip so tightly, you'll hurt your hands. I averted my gaze in embarrassment. Logan stood up, walked to the other side of the bed, and said, "Our marriage was rushed. I know you're not ready yet. Take your time. I won't regret it, you can rest assured." I nodded. Because of everything with Fabian, there had always been unease in my heart. He knew that. Suddenly, I felt an inexplicable sense of grievance. I didn't know if marrying him so hastily would bring me regret in the future. But right now, what I felt was peace. Chapter 7. In an unfamiliar place. Sharing a bed with a man I wasn't very close to. I thought I wouldn't be able to sleep. Who would have thought I'd fall asleep so quickly? When I woke up the next morning, still groggy, I nuzzled against the pillow in my arms. The texture wasn't right. My mind snapped awake. I quietly loosened my grip, glanced upward, and met a pair of clear, deep eyes watching me with a trace of amusement. My cheeks instantly burned red, and I quickly sat up. Sorry. I have bad sleeping habits. Logan reached out and rubbed my head. It's fine. No need to apologize. We're husband and wife. After washing up, Logan looked at me. Let's go. I'll show you our wedding house. Without thinking much, I followed him. It turned out to be a huge surprise. Our wedding house was right next door to my parents' home. I was overjoyed, wandering endlessly through the first-floor hall, eager to see everything. Logan just stood by the sofa, smiling as he watched me. I had thought that letting go of Fabian would leave me dejected for a long time. But in truth, after years of slowly worn-down feelings, what I felt upon letting go was more relief than sorrow. A week after the wedding, Fabian hadn't contacted me once. I was still a little disappointed how devoted he was, giving his whole heart to caring for his childhood sweetheart. If I hadn't married Logan, I can't imagine how hard this week would have been for me. The vicious gossip from outside, what would it have become? I don't dare think about it. Fabian, I won't wait for you anymore. But that small disappointment didn't affect my mood. Looking at Logan walking toward me, I smiled. Now, I had someone of my own to cherish. This was my life. Logan treated me very well. In my plan, he probably didn't reject this marriage but didn't really care for it either. There had been no rumors of him liking anyone, which was why I dared to use that promise. But the way he treated me, it gave me the illusion that he actually liked me. So, watching him working in the study, I called out, "Logan, what is it? You agreed to marry me. Was it just to fulfill your promise? Or, I had wanted to ask if he liked me, but the words stuck in my throat. Better not to humiliate myself." With a self-mocking smile, I said, "Nothing. Go on with your work." Maybe he was only being good to me out of respect for his wife. Better not to indulge in wishful thinking. I turned to leave, but was suddenly pulled into an embrace that carried a faint, cold fragrance. A sigh sounded above my head. "Fiona." I thought I had made it obvious enough. I froze, my voice trembling as I asked. Not sure if it meant what I thought. What do you mean? Logan lowered his head, looked into my eyes solemnly, and said, Fiona, I like you. I've liked you for a long time. Chapter 8. Because our home was close to my parents, Logan and I often went over to eat. My dad was not only skilled at piano but also a great cook. He often bragged in front of me that back in the day, it was his piano playing that caught my mom's eye, and his cooking that won over her stomach. Only then did he manage to win that once proud red rose. I listened with envy, eyes sparkling. Seeing this, Logan leaned close to my ear and said softly, if you like it, I'll cook for you too. Catching my parents' teasing looks from across the table, my face instantly turned red all the way to my ears. Who said I like it? Ever since Logan confessed his feelings that day, our relationship had grown much closer. It was also then that I learned he had fallen for me at first sight, and had carried me in his heart for so long already. I couldn't deny I was secretly overjoyed, and even bragged a little to my mom. She rolled her eyes at me. I knew long ago, after you saved him back then, he often came to our house. At first, your dad and I thought it was just gratitude. But the more often he came, the harder it was for him to hide the way he looked at you when he realized we had noticed. He admitted it. He said you were still young, just starting college, and not ready yet. He'd wait until you grew up a bit. Your dad and I were happy to see it. He's local. The age gap is a bit big, but 6 years is fine. You'd be the lady of the house. No mother-in-law drama. No complicated relatives to worry about. But then, when you got to college, all his patience ended up wasted when you said you were with that song boy. Your dad and I were angry and embarrassed when you two went public with your relationship. Logan came to our house once more. He said since you already liked someone, he wouldn't tell you, and stopped visiting, but he still sent gifts. With such a perfect match, why would your dad and I ever look favorably on that Fabian song? Aside from a good-looking face, what did he have? Indecisive, soft-eared, a complicated family. If not for the fact he seemed caring toward you, we wouldn't have even let him through the door. And yet, that one redeeming quality, even that didn't last. How long did it take before he abandoned you? How many times did we try to persuade you? You acted as if you'd been bewitched, never listening. The wedding, he postponed it just like that. All for his little childhood sweetheart. I had come here intending to brag, but hadn't expected to learn all this. No wonder my parents said little when I registered with Logan, and even looked so familiar with him. But now, instead of bragging, I was being scolded like I was on trial. Seeing my mom grow more and more agitated, about to explode again, I thought quickly, Logan! Sure enough, my mom stopped mid-sentence. I hurriedly slipped out of the room, glancing around and seeing no one in the hall. I stepped outside. As expected, I spotted Logan and my dad drinking tea in the small pavilion in the courtyard. I went over, said nothing, and simply pulled Logan to leave. He was puzzled but still followed my lead, standing up, looking back at my dad, who waved him off. Logan left with me. I clung to his arm, seeing my low spirits. Logan asked softly, "Are you upset?" I shook my head, unsure how to explain. He raised his hand and pulled me into his arms. Just then, an angry voice rang out. "What are you two doing?" Chapter 9. When I turned my head, I saw Fabian had returned, travel-worn. His eyes were locked firmly on Logan's arm around me. I said nothing, burying myself in Logan's embrace, not wanting to look at him, at the bloodshot eyes or the delicate figure of Melisande standing softly behind him. Logan glanced at the two of them, mockery flashing in his eyes. "What I do has nothing to do with young Master Song, does it?" Fabian stepped forward, trying to grab my hand, trying to pull me out, but Logan moved with me, avoiding his reach, and then let go. Fabian's hands trembled as he hurried to block me, his voice strained but trying to stay calm. "Fiona, don't be afraid. I'm here." He struggled to steady his tone. "Fiona is my fiancée." President Logan, holding my fiancé like that, don't you owe me an explanation? Looking at the man shielding me, my heart was a swirl of emotions. Over the past year, whenever Fabian and I quarreled because of Melisande, he had always stood in front of her and said to me, "Fiona, don't make a scene. Fiona, apologize. Fiona, you shouldn't have. Never once had he stood firmly by my side. Logan's eyes narrowed slightly, sharpness flashing within them. Young master song, you think you deserve an explanation from me? Shouldn't you first explain why? Time and again, you've asked others to protect and take care of your little childhood sweetheart? Why? On the eve of your wedding, you broke off the engagement, left your fiancé exposed to public ridicule, took your sweetheart overseas, and now return with her? What is it you want now? Fabian froze, turning to me, clutching my hand. Fiona, it's not like that. There's a reason. I can explain. Logan pulled my hand free. Young master song, have some self-respect. Don't lay hands on my wife. Fabian's eyes widened, staring in disbelief. Your wife? Impossible. Fiona is my fiancée. We were about to be married. His voice grew hoarse, eyes red, staring at me with desperate hope, lips tightly pressed, waiting for my denial. But his hope was shattered. I walked over to Logan and stood at his side. I've already married him. I am indeed his wife. Hearing my words, Fabian froze, unable to speak for a long while. His body swayed, and Melisande caught him. Her soft voice chimed in. Sister Fiona, you moved on so quickly, didn't you? Such fuel on the fire. I couldn't be bothered. I didn't even spare her a glance. One sharp look from Logan, and Melisande immediately fell silent. Fabian shoved her hand away, quickly regaining his focus. The veins on his forehead bulged. So the wedding wasn't cancelled? It was just switched? Fiona, how dare you? At our wedding, you married another man. Watching him tremble with rage, I nodded. I did. While you were in North America with Melisande, it was my wedding day. A whole week without a word from him. If he had contacted anyone back here, he would have known. If he had cared about me even a little, he wouldn't have waited until today to find out. But he hadn't. He had been across the ocean, devoted entirely to his little sweetheart, worrying for her with all his heart. Fabian's heart ached, sharp and unrelenting, like countless claws tearing at it until it bled. How could this have happened? After arriving in North America, he had lost his phone. With everything so rushed, he never got a replacement, only used a local one. He had wanted to call Fiona, but was always interrupted by one thing or another. He had thought about how furious Fiona must be, so he had already made up his mind. Once Melisandre's ankle was treated, he would return and give Fiona an even grander wedding. He knew he had wronged Fiona this time, but he would make it up to her, treat her twice as well in the future. As for Melisande, he would no longer involve himself. He had already done enough for her. He would give her a sum of money that would be repayment enough for the kindness her parents had once shown him. Fiona loved him so much, he couldn't keep her waiting any longer. Yet now, overwhelmed by fury and exhaustion from the rushed journey and jet lag, he collapsed on the spot. The Song family driver, who had been waiting nearby, quickly rushed over. Together with Melisande, he helped Fabian into the car. I never looked back. Instead, I held Logan's hand as we walked toward home. Fiona, this is the first time you've held my hand on your own. Hearing his magnetic voice tinged with laughter, my ears burned red as I muttered through gritted teeth. What? Am I not allowed to? His smile deepened, indulgent and tender. You are. Only you can. When we got home, I asked him about what my mother had told me. Logan nodded. Back then, I thought, I've been lingering around you for nearly a year, and still you hadn't taken a liking to me. It seemed I really wasn't someone you could love. I shook my head quickly. That's not it. I just didn't dare have improper thoughts about you. I thought you were too important, that you'd never like someone like me. Logan smiled. As long as it wasn't dislike, that was enough. The rest could come slowly. That day, I also learned a secret. That time Fabian, Melisande, and I went hiking, the person who saved me at the foot of the mountain was Logan. Humph. And he hadn't even left his name after doing a good deed. Chapter 10. Later, I heard from friends that Fabian was hospitalized, running a persistent fever. I thought I wouldn't see him again anytime soon, until one day, the housekeeper said there was a man standing outside for a long time, asking to see me. I nodded. Things had to be made clear. Let him in. One look at Fabian's flushed face told me he had come despite still being feverish. I gestured for him to sit. Do you have something you want to say? Fabian licked his dry lips, parched from the fever. Fiona, please listen to me. I don't like Melisande. Taking care of her was only because her parents were so good to me when they were alive. Now that she's alone, I only see her as a sister. The one I love is you. It has always been you. I sighed and poured him a glass of water. Fabian, a gentleman is judged by his deeds, not his intentions. It was you who broke off our engagement. It was you who left me to face all the gossip and judgment. It was you who flew off to North America with Melisande. It was you who scolded me and demanded I apologize whenever we quarreled over her, without caring who was right or wrong. It was you who, during the mountain hike, didn't believe me, carried Melisande away, and left me behind. And now, just like today, barging in so openly, have you ever thought about what position that puts me in? If Logan were the kind of man who couldn't tolerate this, my life would become unbearable. Do you understand that? Fabian froze. I'm sorry, I just wanted to see you. Then he added, he's not good for you. Divorce him. Please. Yes, divorce him. Then marry me. It'll be the same. Fiona. I thought his fever had scrambled his brain. What are you thinking? I'm doing well now. I won't divorce him. Fabian muttered. If I hadn't left, you would be my wife. Mine. I stood up. Marriage isn't a game. Fabian, please go. Let's leave it at that. But he refused. And Logan, do you think he's such a good man? You married him. We've been together for so long. Don't you trust me? You'd trust him instead? I looked at him. Whether I trust him or not, I will never trust you again. Since Melisande came back, not once have you ever firmly believed in me or stood by me. Whenever there was a choice to be made between us, I was always the one abandoned. From clothes, bags, and jewelry, to your time, your promises, the wedding dress we designed together, the wedding itself, and even you, even though it was already past. The grievance still weighed on me, and my eyes turned red. Do you know how many times you ignored me? How many times you left me behind? I even got used to it. So, Fabian, please leave. Go to Melisande. Go to anyone. Just don't come looking for me again. I didn't bother to see when he left. When Logan came home, I told him about it. He listened quietly, without much reaction. In the end, he only gave a soft mem. I had expected him to ask more, and when he saw the puzzlement in my eyes, he said, Fiona, I know your temper. The moment you sent me that message to register our marriage, I knew you had already let him go. You wouldn't choose him again. I was stunned for a moment, then smiled. Is that so? President Logan, you've got your documents upside down. Logan froze for a second, then helplessly corrected the papers and laughed along with me. Chapter 11. A few days later, while shopping for clothes with my mom, we ran into an aunt who immediately pulled her aside to gossip. I heard that after Fabian recovered from his illness, he locked himself in his room and drowned himself in alcohol. No matter who called him, he wouldn't open the door, until someone sent him a recording revealing that Melisand's injury had never been that serious at all. She had bribed the hospital to forge her medical records. Fabian confronted Melisande, and the two had a huge quarrel. He cut off all assets he had given her and had her blacklisted in the industry. Melisande hadn't even graduated from her overseas studies. Without a proper diploma and now blacklisted, she couldn't even make ends meet. Fabian's grandfather, disgusted with his poor judgment and reckless character, demoted him to a remote branch company, stripping him of any chance to compete for power again. Before he left, we met once more at a banquet. I attended with Logan. The hall was loud and bustling, and Logan was busy entertaining guests. I stepped out alone for some fresh air. Before long, Fabian appeared at my side. He looked visibly thinner and worn out. Fiona, I'm leaving in a couple of days. I came today just to see you one more time. I wish you well. Fabian's eyes turned red, his voice hoarse. I've thought a lot these past days. For so long, I was terribly wrong. I made you suffer so much. I'm sorry. Fiona, I'm so sorry. I nodded. Are you finished? Fabian pressed his lips together. His voice choked. Silence lingered. In college, we always had endless things to talk about. After graduation, the rare times we were alone, I was always the one filling the silence with words. Now, with me saying nothing, he no longer knew what to say either. In the end, we had reached the point of nothing left to say. I turned and walked away, on my own path. At the end, in the light, I saw Logan, dressed in a silver-gray tailored suit, leaning lazily against the staircase. When he heard my footsteps, he looked over. The cold indifference in his eyes instantly melted into tenderness like water. I thought I was still lucky. Beep beep. Speak, President Logan. You told me to come back and get close to Fabian. Now I've been blacklisted and ended up like this. You can't just abandon me. I only showed you a path. You're the one who walked yourself into this state. His voice was laced with mockery. And don't you dare speak recklessly in front of my wife again. Otherwise, After hanging up, the man turned and wrapped his arm around the sleeping woman, planting a kiss on her. Don't. Too sleepy. Her soft voice carried a trace of hoarseness. His eyes filled with laughter and tenderness. All right. Sleep well, sweetheart.